Hey everyone. I hope you can hear me, and let me just verify. Let me check. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. Oh. Oh, yeah. So, just a second. Jesus, this is so messy. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, so YouTube works, and let me just check Twitch really quickly. One, two, three. And we're fine. Okay. So, today is a Datacenter Wednesday +1 because I wasn't able to stream yesterday because we've had some work meetings. Finally, today I have a little bit of time at work to stream. And so what am I gonna start with? So first of all, this fixing electronics thingy, this is a speedometer or odometer driver for my 30-year-old Volvo 240. So this little piece of electronics is pretty much as old as me, or even older, I think. And I am not quite sure what broke down. My best guess is that it has an actual chip that is responsible for steering this step motor, and also it is also responsible for making the speed dial show actual measurement. And my best guess is that this little chip has died because all of the caps seem to be fine. I also have some other suspects, but my best guess is that this is actually dead. I do have a multimeter. I've already played around with this a bit, but finally today my package from AliExpress came, and I've basically ordered a few of those chips because they were actually quite cheap. They are like, I don't know, 50 cents a piece. So I actually got more than one. And we'll see how that goes. The sad part is that I am not actually able to verify whether this will work without actually putting this in a car. That being said, I do have to say that after watching this this little PCB for the past few days, I have to say this is quite amazing at how it actually works, and that we've had this level of engineering like 30 years back. I'm not really sure that this is visible, but basically, let me just get some sort of, even if you don't see it, maybe just listen to my explanation. It has basically three inputs, right? So it has ground, it has plus voltage, and it has the input from the Hall sensor that's located back in the differential. So the funny part is that this whole section is not being powered by the plus. It's not actually being powered by your plus 12 installation in a car. That's the most amazing part, I think. It seems as it's actually being powered from this chip, which has a voltage stabilizer inside. So it uses the power that's being generated by the sensor to actually power itself and everything around it, which is pretty amazing. I've read the data sheet on this chip, and like I said, it has voltage stabilizer inside, and it has like pinouts to actually power other pieces on the board. So that actually gave me quite a headache because, like I said, that plus, like I said, ground, impulse input, and plus. That plus basically goes to here, which is this little thingy, and nowhere else on the board. And I have to say, boy, that gave me quite a puzzle. Oh, that being said, I've gotten and reorganized my desk a bit. I've gotten the soldering station. I have some basic soldering stuff at hand, and we can actually try and do some stuff. Later, I will switch to Kubernetes. I wanted to try some Kubernetes stuff, and maybe, you know, as usual at work, some miscellaneous stuff will come and interrupt me while I'm doing probably anything, right? So you can also expect that, though I will mute myself if I have any calls or stuff like that. Well, having that intro behind us, I can actually oh my, this might be quite noisy. I haven't taken that into the consideration. I do have to, I will first try to work with the hotter station, because this little thingy I have to solder off, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of solder on it. And I think that using the hotter might be the best option. Okay. Oh, it's quite fast, I have to say. Okay. Right. You know, this is the I think it is the old-timey solder stuff, so it has a lead in it, and it might have a bit lower melt temperature. And basically, just so you know, this is the amateur hour when it comes to soldering. So this is not my main profession, but you know, you have to learn somehow. It's really nice, but flawless. Jesus, I was not expecting this to go this smoothly. Shit. Oh my. I mean, I have to admit, I don't really have that much of an experience when it comes to soldering. But still, from what I've worked with the hot air station, I have to say my results have been pretty, I would say, lackluster at best. But this, I have to say, was pretty smooth. Okay, so now I will just get the traditional hot iron and I will try to clean this up a little bit. Remove the old solder and stuff. And before I proceed, I will try to measure this and quite maybe compare it to this one, or maybe no, maybe I'll just solder in the new stuff. Because I have quite a lot of examples to compare against. So we will clean this up. I'll try to suck off as much as I can. Before I get the copper to actually suck this off more. You know what, I might just get the copper now. I mean, I am no Louis Rossmann or Daniel Rakowiecki if you're watching this from Poland, but I'm trying to do the best I can, even if the results are questionable. Thankfully, this is actually my own private car. I mean, imagine having a company car that's a Volvo 240. It's working poorly, which is weird. I need those holes to open up. Nope, not like that. Please don't join over the solder pads. That's so weird. Why doesn't this copper want to absorb that solder? So weird. Oh yeah, much better. When in doubt, add flux. That should be my motto. Okay. Like I said, amateur hour. Definitely. Okay, so now let me get a new chip and let's try to fit that in. This might go faster than expected. Shit. This might go faster than expected. Some of the solder might have been smudged onto the capacitor here. Oh, fuck. Well, that's the price for being an amateur. Some of the solder have sprayed onto this capacitor here. Though I think I have it like written down what's actually this capacitor is, so it's not a biggie. And it should be working fine still, though we'll see. Like I said many times today, amateur hour definitely. Okay, now let me look. First of all, let me look up my reference photo. How this was oriented. How this was oriented. Okay. So quite simple, in fact. Easy and simple. It's in. Great. It's in. So, Jesus, so sticky. Yeah, I still might want to add, maybe not flux, but I want to at least solder one tiny leg, just to have it stay in place. Seems that I'm in doubt and I need to add flux. And remember to not breathe in the fumes. think I might have gotten a bit too much here. Yeah, much better. Okay. Thankfully, I'm not working with this every day, otherwise I would be probably dead already. I knew gravity would help us. Okay, now I have to clean this up a bit because there is too much solder on some of these pins. And we don't really want them to connect when they are not supposed to connect. Maybe let me get some copper for that. I don't think I have any scissors or pliers. Maybe I do. So let me cut off that used little piece. Oh, and let's try that again. Okay, let me have a closer look. Okay, so those actually are connected. And I was trying to clean this up, and this actually is how it is supposed to be. Amateur hour, like I said. But the rest looks fine, I think. Just removing the unnecessary solder. I don't think. Oh, I might add some more here. Oh, I'll actually try and get this from here. Yep. Seems nice enough. Seems nice enough. You might wonder what it actually has to do with a data center work. Well, let me tell you about a story of one little switch with PoE that had to be fixed on a really short notice. So we've had this switch that's been responsible for CCTV. And you know how it is with those switches. They are most often not really top of the line. They don't really need to be fast enough. It's not like they have to be 100G or anything. And one of their like biggest features is that they actually supply PoE on, I don't know, 48 ports, right? So that's quite a lot of PoE. And we've had such switch die on us, and it didn't exactly die. I think only one of the PoE modules died, and basically there is a chip on that switch that's responsible for delivering power. So what I've done, because we know that getting a replacement will take a while and get funding, stuff like that, I've basically ordered a chip from AliExpress that costed like, I don't know, 10 bucks, whatever. And I thought it might be a fun experience. So I've ordered that chip, and I've took that switch apart, and I was almost ready to solder that in. Sadly, I didn't get to, because by the time the actual AliExpress package from China came, we've actually managed to configure and get another replacement switch. But I was this close to fixing that with just the thing I'm doing here, right? And you know, being able to solder or basically measure basic things is always a nice skill to have, even at home. My old Xbox 360 pad, it wasn't wireless, it was, and let me just clean this with alcohol, the best thing. And you know, and at home when I still use the Xbox 360 pad. Oh, by the way, sorry, Network Fox, I didn't note. I don't think I have the pop-ups configured. Damn, sorry. Thanks for the follow. I've just noticed on my side screen. Anyway, finishing that Xbox pad story, I've started to, you know, dabble with that. The connection, the cable was almost pulled out, so I just got my soldering station, my soldering iron, got my pad disassembled, and then I basically broke it. Sadly, I didn't fix it. I broke it, and sadly, this is not a success story. The actual success stories I have with soldering is from back when I was fixing the monitors and replacing capacitors on monitors. And that's something I maybe not did a lot, but I've definitely rescued at least 4 or 5 monitors like that. Because they only needed a, I don't know, few cents capacitor replacement and nothing else. Oh man, like cleaning this with alcohol, I think you can see my finger, made me realize that I will definitely need to make at least a 5-minute break and go to the bathroom and wash my hands. Yep, I think we are at an acceptable level. I think we've reached an acceptable results. And like I said, I really wish I could test whether this actually works, but the best I can do is just measure the resistances on my multimeter. And sadly, that is the, I think, most I can do for now. If you didn't, like, thankfully you can see that red capacitor here, but it's the outside shell got a bit tethered with the solder that got splattered when I pulled out that little thingy. Okay, let me just maybe take a look at this old chip. Let me just take a look at this old chip. Yeah, sorry, had to respond to some text messages. Okay, it's actually quite amazing that they've been producing this this little chip for such a long time. And you know, it's amazing because this is not only a stepping motor driver, it also is like a power supply, like I said, and the speed dial driver. So it does quite a lot of stuff, I have to say. And it, like I said, supplies the power from the Hall sensor itself, which is quite amazing. I didn't expect that. But you know, when I was measuring the car with the multimeter, I was quite surprised that, you know, because it actually takes in the frequency of the Hall sensor, but it did so at, like, from what I remember, pretty high voltages, like 50 volts, plus 50 volts. I was like, damn, that's quite a lot. And now it makes sense because it's basically also being used to power up this this chip and whole rest of the board. Let me just maybe have a quick glance. there is one little enigma that I still haven't been able um, to understand, which is basically why if I like, because this is like from the Volvo from I think 1986, 1989. But I do have another 240 wagon that's a few years newer, and it basically has completely different, maybe not completely different, but this little section next to the chip is completely different, which is pretty weird because even though it's different, it should work if you like replace, if you get this section from a newer model, from newer generation of within that same model to the older one, but it doesn't, which is really weird. Okay, so I still wanted to maybe check some things. And yeah, just it may be useful to know. Yeah, okay. And I do have the diagram of that microcontroller right here, so at least I know what pin is supposed to be what. I can do some basic checking. So, like I said, again, amateur hour. I'm not really that fluent with everything, and my knowledge has been pretty withered at this point. I used to learn about this in university or at university, but you know, it's been at least almost 10 years at this point, ever since I finished. Okay, so let me compare this to brand new chip. Because like I said, sadly, I am working on assumptions. Sadly. Okay. So, it seems that okay. Oh, I think we might have a winner. Nope. False alarm. False alarm. We have 6 kilo ohms here and 6 kilo ohms here. 8 kilo ohms. 6 kilo ohms. Interesting. So there is like at least a noticeable difference in the resistance, though I think that might be because this chip may be newer and it may be quite, let's say, made with more precise materials. Okay, 6.9, 6.8, and 34 mega ohms. Okay, so here we have 6, 6.1, and 40 mega ohms. So, okay, now 38 mega ohms. So they seem to be at least similar in spec. Which doesn't really bode well for this operation I just did. 3.6. Jesus, why is this such a piece of shit, this little thingy? 3.6 mega ohms, 6.4 mega ohms, and 7.2 million ohms. So 7.2, 6.4, and 3.6. $28. 5.5 shit, and 3.3. Three point three, 5.5, and 30 million ohms, and here it's 7. So I think that might be the culprit. What is this? This is this little pin is a pin number 4, and this is current galvanometer current setting output. And it is connected. It is connected to a resistor that's responsible for it's also quite interesting. So basically you have a hard soldered resistor here that is responsible for tuning the diameter of your wheels you have put on your car. So in theory, if you like have 14 or 15 inch, if you like swap 14 to 15 or from 15 to 14, in theory, you should change this resistor, which is quite interesting. So I hope that's the culprit. Though we'll see. I mean, I don't really even have any means of, like I said, just hooking this up and just seeing that it actually spins or does anything. But we will see. Okay, I think that's it for the amateur soldering hour. And now it's time for amateur Kubernetes hour. And we will see how it goes with that. There is one little other thing I am suspicious of. But that I might check later. Okay. So let's say that this is done. I'll just hang this up here. And you know, maybe let me go and wash my hands. This goes here. Like, as you can see, I have quite a lot of those ready. The chips yearn for the car. And the children yearn for the mines. Okay, I need to clean up here a little. Yeah, let me just set a quick be right back, because I definitely need to go and wash my hands. Okay, be right back in a minute or two. Okay, back with you, not done cleaning yet. Okay, now for some Kubernetes. As you can see, we are working in a real lab environment. It's quite messy, but it's not supposed to be clean. Things get done here. Oh yeah, and maybe let me update what we're doing currently. I have to say that I feel questionable putting done to the fixed electronics because I basically haven't really confirmed that it works, but hey, do what you're gonna do. Like I said, now I have some miscellaneous work stuff popped in. I need to diagnose some VoIP problems. Thankfully, I've got done with soldering by now because, oh man. Sadly, diagnosing VoIP requires quite a lot of hoops and jumps. Most often you need to start with checking whether the phone actually has link up and its MAC address is visible on the switch it's connected to. And that can become quite an investigation. Okay. Ooh. What I might actually update this. Just so I can have easier time later when I'm adding chapters to this stream. Shit. Oh damn, it's okay, so I think I have to deal with HP switch. Hmm. Show interfaces brief. And just so you know, I'm just working with a colleague that's remotely at another location. It's working with me to diagnose this VoIP issue. If you hear any noise, it's just because I've opened a window a little. So just so I can have a bit of fresh air after that soldering smokes. O, cześć. Z ciekawości dopiero wszedłem, nad czym pracujesz, jaki problem z VoIP i obok tego, jaki model Lenovo z parametrami. Z VoIPem czasami mamy takie różne problemy, że telefon nie dostaje adresu z DHCP, przez co komuś nie dzwoni. No i trzeba zdiagnozować, czy to jest, nie wiem, link, czy na switchu coś może padło, czy kabel gdzieś nie domaga, czy może jednak telefon się skiepścił, no bo to nie są jakieś nowe sztuki. Różnie bywa. No takie mówię, taki miscellaneous jest taka dziwna rzecz, która, znaczy mówię, że spodziewałem się, że w trakcie streamu po prostu w trakcie pracy ktoś może do mnie z czymś wpaść i napisać, więc no tym razem jest to VoIP. Ale nowo E495 z Ryzenem, natomiast nawet nie pamiętam jakim. Służbowy laptop CAD Proc CPU Info. Ryzen 7 3700U. Natomiast pamiętam, że bo to kumpel specyfikował tego laptopa i ja dostałem go po nim. Pamiętam, że nawet żeśmy zgodnie stwierdzili, że jeżeli coś trzeba kupić, to żeby to był laptop, żeby to był laptop bez dedykowanej grafiki, żeby wszystko było zintegrowane, żeby Linux miał jak najprościej i nie trzeba było się z tym cackać pod górę. Nieraz coś podczas pracy także podejrzę, co tam robisz. A dzięki. If anyone is confused, this is both Polish and English stream, so I can chat both in Polish and English. No, staram się streamować w środy, natomiast wczoraj miałem spotkanie w pracy w tych godzinach i w zupełnie innej lokalizacji, więc wczoraj nie dałem rady, więc dzisiaj stwierdziłem, że zrobię środa +1, czyli czwartek stream. Ten laptop też już ma parę lat, aczkolwiek te laptopy ryzenowe, znaczy akurat no nie wiem jak te nowe, natomiast ten, który mam tutaj i kiedyś dziewczynie kupiłem HPK, kiedyś 3-4 lata temu kupiłem HPK z ryzenem, mają tą giga zaletę, że no wiadomo, zależy jak tam producent to ułoży, ale one potrafią w idlu po prostu mieć wyłączony wiatrak i są bezgłośne. Natomiast pamiętam właśnie, że jak szukałem laptopa dla dziewczyny, to po prostu zamawiałem przez internet, wtedy masz te 2 tygodnie, żeby odesłać i wszystkie laptopy, jakie odesłałem, to odesłałem w ciągu 5 minut po uruchomieniu. Już wiedziałem, że jest do odesłania, bo uruchamialiśmy go. Wgrywaliśmy aktualizację, BIOS, wszystko i w idlu po prostu szumiał jak odkurzacz. Każdy Intel, więc wtedy stałem się fanem AMD i Ryzena po prostu, w szczególności w laptopach. Teraz też ta nowa generacja Intela jest taka dosyć dziwna, bym powiedział. Co ciekawe, główne podejrzenie na to, że jest dziwna, padły dlatego, że filmiki na YouTubie, które ostatnio oglądałem, to były filmiki o emulacji PS3 i tam po prostu koleś zaczął gadać o instrukcjach AVX, CPU, ASM-ie i tak dalej, no i zaczął właśnie taką mieć, może nie tyradę na Intela, ale właśnie powiedział, jak to jest teraz w Intelu. Cichy jest, zastanawiam się nad zmianą mojego nawet na Maca R. Nie wiem, to znaczy, jeżeli chodzi o Maca, to jestem przekonany co do iPhone'ów. Też nawet dziewczynie poleciłem, żeby kupiła. Jestem przekonany co do iPadów, natomiast co do laptopów jestem absolutnie nieprzekonany. Te Maci M1, M2, M3 wydają się być takimi fajnymi, nazwijmy to, laptopami, terminalami. Aczkolwiek, no nie wiem, czy czasami zdarzyło ci się oglądać kanał Louisa Rossmana na YouTubie, faceta, który tam naprawia MacBooki, iPhony od lat i dokumentuje wszystko na YouTubie, to czasami bym powiedział, ma się takie wrażenie, że Maci są zaprojektowane, żeby się wywalać i psuć i nie być naprawialne. I to mnie tak odrobinkę hamuje. Bardziej polskie kanały. Daniel Rakowiecki. Daniel Rakowiecki robi zajebiste filmy. Daniel Rakowiecki robi zajebiste filmy o naprawie elektroniki. Właśnie nawet jak teraz dosłownie przed chwilą naprawiałem do mojego samochodu, znaczy do takiego starego auta, który mam, do Volvo 240, prędkościomierz i odometer i licznik przebiegu, to tu jest dosłownie w 30-letnim aucie mikrochip. I też właśnie, no, że tak powiem, nakarmiony wiedzą, którą przekazał mi Daniel i Louis Rossmann, zacząłem się w to trochę bawić. No ale Daniel bardzo spoko materiały ma. Właśnie z polskich youtuberów, no to bardzo ładnie naprawia i nawet jak rozmawiałem w pracy z kolegami, to pokazałem im Louisa Rossmana, oni pokazali mi Daniela, no i że tak powiem, Daniel bardzo ładnie lutuje, sprząta plecionką, przejedzie cynę, zbierze, wszystko git, nie? A Louis to tak jest, działa, good enough. Dobra, tutaj kumpel sprawdza, czy ten VoIP coś tam robi. A ja może w międzyczasie Kubernetesa odpalę. Jeszcze odnośnie naprawy Apple jest Rafał Bielawski. Zobaczę. Czy trochę teraz zaczyna być, nie chcę mówić sporo, jest trochę tych osób teraz, które zaczynają na YouTubie dzielić się wiedzą, nie? Jest to fajne. Jest to fajne i czasami nawet się nie spodziewałem, że jest tak dużo nawet ludzi z Polski, którzy to robią. Hey mate, thanks for doing some learning and informative stream. I love to better info. Sure. I mean, I have to say I love that nickname, K-Frame Cat 5. Have you been thinking about upgrading to Cat 6? I'm sorry if I'm confusing anybody because, I'm trying to switch between Polish and English. Daniel zapoczątkował pokazanie swojej pracy, tak się później wspomniał. No, ciężko stwierdzić, kto był pierwszy. Daniel naprawdę długo wrzucał filmy, zanim, powiedzmy, wybuchł. The one thing I definitely need to fix, maybe not today, is the actually follow messages that are, I think, currently not appearing on the screen. Let me just check. Okej, ja nie przeszkadzam sobie do użytkowników, bo telefon się urywa. Powodzenia. Dzięki. Też tobie też powodzenia życzę. Okay, one thing I want to at least see if I by chance have it ready. Maybe I do have the follow notifications on, but that doesn't seem like so. I was almost pretty damn sure that I've configured that on my stream elements. It seems like I might have been wrong. Or maybe I just missed a notification. And now I'm working on the assumption that it's actually not working. I also might close the window because it's getting quite chilly in here. Definitely a bit less noisy and less chilly. You don't really see on the stream how big this room is, but you know it is quite a big room. And what I wanted to tell you is that I used to have at least I think three servers in this rack running, and they were enough to make this whole like room hotter by like 2 or 3 degrees, like noticeably warmer, I would say. Sadly, I've moved them to the server room upstairs, so now I just have to operate on whatever heat is being supplied to this room at the moment. Okay, my colleague has came back to me with the VoIP diagnosis that I've told him to check. So we can try. So I can just. I think this will be almost done soon. The miscellaneous VoIP stuff I'm doing right now, and we'll switch to Kubernetes. So let me just show running configuration on that interface. The classical network mistake that we are trying to figure out. So supposedly a VoIP phone cannot connect. It's not receiving like DHCP or stuff. It's not like it cannot like connect to DHCP or obtain IP address or anything else. And you know, we've been like, my colleague is like in the other office and it's just like checking this stuff for me, his being my remote hands. And you know, we've diagnosed the port on the switch, it's not up. We thought that maybe the port is broken, but you know, after like, you know, basically one show running config later, it turns out that this port was disabled. No idea why. But we'll see. We'll see if it actually works after not being disabled. I might also check show VLANs interface. So it seems like somebody just disabled an interface and forgot about that for God knows what reason. Seems we have a happy ending. It seems I think I've gotten confirmation. I'll just wait for my colleague to check everything. But it seems like the very critical VoIP issue that's been plaguing this poor lady for quite some time has been due to basically somebody either not doing right memory on the switch, or just by somebody not noticing that they've accidentally disabled the interface. If you are thinking, how can somebody not notice a phone being off? First of all, remote work and hybrid work, you know, that's one of those things. Second thing is that, you know, for some people, if it like just flashes lights, then it's on, all right? Hooray, so it seems like this little thingy has been dealt with, so let me update. Currently, Kubernetes and netlab. And, oh my, so just to avoid some confusion, it's not like a netlab for actual Kubernetes networking. Because I do understand that this is quite a big fucking subject and a really big topic. No, I mean kinda of what I'll be trying to do now. But long story short, I think some of you might be familiar with Container Lab, and if you are not familiar with Container Lab, then you might be familiar with either GNS3 or even G. And Container Lab is an open source solution that I think stemmed from Nokia. That's basically allowing you to spin network labs as containers. So you are like basically passing whole topologies as some sort of a Docker file. It's not really Docker file, but you are passing the topology within a YAML file, and it basically spins the whole lab for you. The advantage of that is that you can actually do some neat things with GitLab or maybe Git, CI/CD, stuff like that, and basically everyone can have their own instance of a network topology in the cloud that they can actually test and run stuff on. And it's quite ephemeral, so you can just, kill it, run it, have it like being repeatable, and it's not like your traditional network simulation software like, I don't know, Packet Tracer or GNS, where you basically place everything on a schematic and you basically have to do everything by hand. It's not really either programmable or reproducible, or even just being, you can basically deploy that in a cloud, at least not really easily. And Nokia and Container Lab does that. So I've actually tried to fiddle with that, because by default Container Lab, to my best knowledge, works on Docker and basically has been, I don't know, designed to maybe not work locally, but on a Docker host. There is a project called Kuberentes, and I know it sounds like an STD. Yes, I know. It's a really weird name, I would say. But it's basically aimed to allow you to run the Container Lab on the cloud, basically on the Kubernetes. So that's something I have already done. If you were watching my TikToks or whatever, or some shorts, I don't think I've done YouTube short on that, only a quick TikTok. But anyway, then I've already prepared 3 servers. I've already installed the Kubernetes on them. Basically, I've had Rancher help me orchestrate the cluster really quickly, and then I've installed Kubernetes on it. The problem is, and maybe I will be able to show you, but just maybe, I need to log on first. Mm-hmm. Okay. Here. Copy this here. Hooray. Okay. Okay, this window capture, I need to fix that. Sorry. Okay, I think you should be able to see. Looks like almost like as a beer can. Let me just maybe move this out of the way. I think I also had water here. It seems like I lost my water. Anyway, so this is the view of our cluster from the Rancher dashboard, and you can see that I have basically one project called Cynet and my CLab, and another project, basically a namespace C9S VLAN, and C9S is an aberration for the Kubernetes. And within that, I have a pod basically running the lab and a topology and everything inside. So yeah, I have the namespace. The namespace is the topology, and within that I have pods, which are essentially the routers. So what should actually happen, and I think this is like here in the services, as you can see, there are services that are pending. And they are pending because they are essentially working, but what should happen is that they are waiting for an IP address to have assigned. And excuse me for being so clickable and jumping all over the place, because I am not, that much used to everything. But essentially what's happening is that the pod has the local networking IP address, exactly the 10 point whatever. It's waiting for the no cluster IP, but it's waiting for the IP of an actual network. And I don't really know the word for it. I'm not really fluent in Kubernetes nomenclature. I would say, okay, so it's basically waiting for some sort of external IP that would make it accessible from, let's say, some defined network that's actually being deployed in your, I don't know, in your lab, in your server room, in your data center, whatever. But basically a network that's not a pod network. And it wants to do that because, let's say, you are deploying a topology or networking lab with, I don't know, 2 routers. And that routers may expose some ports that allow you to, I don't know, SSH to it, access the web UI, maybe do some API stuff via JSON RPC and stuff like that. And all of that is like listening on different TCP ports. And the Kubernetes is actually exposing all of those ports because they are most often very well-known ports numbers. It's trying to expose that, but just exposing the ports does nothing if you cannot reach the IP. So the cluster network is not really reachable usually. So it basically wants to have an external IP pool that it can assign to each of those devices that it has deployed within the container lab topology. Jesus Christ, that's been a lot of very smart words and very little work done. So just because it might be easier for me, I will just leave this here like that. And I might also, it's not really anything, but I may want to crop the top of the browser just a little. Yep. Perfect, because I might just browse other stuff. Okay. But the gist of my work will be done here. And before I start, I just wanted to check one little thing. I'm reading on some CVEs, pretty old CVEs, but nevertheless CVEs that have come to my attention from my friend in some other company. 3D viewer remote code execution vulnerability and mod proxy in Apache. Okay. Just let me freshen up on the emails. Okay, before I continue, I might just do one little miscellaneous work thingy. Yet again, a small interrupt. Yes, sorry for being so quiet, but I had to focus. Most of our configuration, especially with VoIP, is being done via CLI directly on the asterisk, which is quite neat because it actually allows you to do a lot of things. Sadly, I do remember that I may have one little thing more to do while I am already on the asterisk VM, so Yeah, sorry, almost done. Sorry, almost done. Okay, back to actually Kubernetes. And you know, since I am mostly green in Kubernetes, the internet hasn't been really kind enough and plentiful enough whenever I ask the query Kubernetes or Rancher or RKA2 cluster add external IP pool. So I guess it might be an ingress thingy that need to be configured. But sorry, I need to still do one more thing. Would you believe that they actually asking me to work on some stuff? Oh, Mr. Techie, so what's gonna be making today? Is like repairing something or developing? So we've actually done a bit of repairing, and I've like cleaned up the table. I was diagnosing this little circuit, and already behind me there is the soldering station. So that's already and and multimeter and stuff like that. So that's something I've already been doing, like I think half an hour ago. And now what I actually want to start doing, but I think here is like better visible. I want to dabble with the Kubernetes, netlab, and stuff like that. Sadly, I already taken into account that some work stuff might come and interrupt me, so this is like miscellaneous work stuff. And sadly, whenever I think I have some time set aside to do some interesting things, some people just message me in chat, sadly. And they want everything being fixed right now. Are you doing it full-time just for like fun? So, streaming is mostly for fun, though I have a permission to basically stream from my workplace because this is my workplace. I stream from a data center I work at currently. So that's mostly for fun. I actually work in a data center as a system and network engineer. So I do quite a lot of different stuff at my job. Though, I've basically thought that, there's really not many either YouTubers, streamers, or people that actually work in the business actively and are sharing the knowledge. It's most often either just people that are passionate about their home lab stuff and or people that or people that have retired, and while they still have some interesting things to say, I would say that the older people have, I would say, lackluster formula for videos and stuff, and people that aren't working in the biz sometimes have weird opinions. You have an amazing setup, quite interesting theme you've chosen. Thank you. I mean, this is not a green screen. I mean, there is artistic blur because I'm using some fancy camera I've gotten my hands on. But basically, this is a lab that I've decided to basically remodel into a studio because there is so much space here, right? So there's quite a lot of tables here that I can just use and just, place servers and stuff like that. There is a rack that's kind of being blocked by this monitor, but I do have some servers here, quite currently turned off. And it allows me to do a lot of things. Like if you've seen my YouTube videos, then you will definitely recognize this table because I basically place a server here and do shots, film stuff. Quite also because this is quite secluded place that nobody is interrupting me here. Very first time I have seen something so amazing, workspace with perfect positive vibes here. Yeah, I mean, if only I could also play some music. You are managing your things very well. I mean, I could disagree because this is basically a mess. I mean, pile of discs here, some cardboard boxes, more junk here. It's still work in progress, but thank you. Hopefully this is the last email I need to do before I actually go for the Kubernetes things. Are you studying or doing professionally only? So it might not seem like it, but I am 32 years old. I mean, I've done my university quite a while back. But actually, I am working in a university data center. So, truth to be told, I at least want to be close to science. I've used to teach classes. I've used to have students while I was doing my PhD, which I've dropped out of. So I'm not a PhD, but I did try and get one. So like I said, during that time, I used to have students, used to teach. It was quite fun. So one of the things I would say that it's important to just basically have a mindset that you are here to, if you are like in this field, then you'll most probably be studying all the time. Like, for me, that's definitely a big plus. Like, this is why I am here. I don't really want to work a corporate job, and have just one simple task and be one task monkey. That's something I really don't want to do. And like working close to academia and universities and stuff like that allows you to be actually interdisciplinary and allows you to do quite a lot of things. 430. Don't say that. 32, I wondered. Yeah, I mean, time flies. Time definitely flies. I mean, the weirdest thing is, getting your old YouTube playlists and just playing some stuff from that YouTube playlists and just seeing that, that film was uploaded 15 years ago. So basically, you haven't maintained the lab very well. Also, you maintained your personality awesomely. I was supposing 25, 26, your age. Hey, I have to say, I am mentally 12. So I have that going for me. Definitely. I feel like I am mentally 12. And this lab used to be a TV studio because there have been some crazy financing programs and incentives to do some stuff in the academia world. So it's no longer, it hasn't been for quite some time. So I'm just basically repurposing whatever I find to make use here. Okay, I think this is done. And one last asterisk configuration fix. Dial plan reload and done. Then, okay. Yeah, you can get old enough if you're young mentally, exactly. You just need to maintain that young attitude. How do you do, fellow kids? I mean, sometimes I at least don't feel like that person because you know I still play a lot of like games. I still watch anime. I still do stuff like that, and I still can find some common grounds with the younger people that you know come through this place. Though I think the one thing that's like you know have the biggest like ha moment for me when it comes to the younger generation is uh, they get their memes from a completely different sources than us. Because you know, for me, it used to be either some websites, quite possibly maybe 9gag, you know, Tumblr days, stuff like that, and I've heard some young people say that they basically get everything from Instagram or TikTok, maybe Facebook groups. And I'm like, you know, you haven't heard of 9gag, you haven't heard of anything like that, and he's no, he just follows some meme accounts, and that was the moment I've noticed that there is basically a generation gap between me and some other people, some younger people. That was the moment I was awoken. Okay. Done. Asterisk done. Give me a minute. I need to quickly go and check and grab some water. So I'll be right back. So sorry, but I'm back. So sorry for the break. I've even gotten myself 2 waters. If you don't mind, can we join at Discord so I can get updated by future streams and have fun there? Sure. You're chatting from Twitch, and I think in my Twitch, whatever profile, I think I have either my link tree or my Discord specified, so you can grab a link and then invite there. No problem. Yep. Yeah, okay. So I have a link tree. Cool. Okay, back to the finally back to the Kubernetes. Yeah, what about Discord? My friend, I've just seen your be right back screen when you were... Ah man, you know, I am at work and I just needed quite simple be right back screen, so everybody knows. I didn't really want to, you know, leave the camera running because you never know when somebody might come across, and maybe not everybody at my workplace would like to be on the stream. So if I am not here, it's basically black screen and be right back. I might work on that later. It's just, you know, the problem of the streaming computer is at work, so most often I am really busy and can't really, you know, don't really have enough time to work on the special effects. So I'm just all for simplicity. So just so you are all aware, I have no idea what I'm doing. right now. I just have a gut feeling that this might help me achieve what I want. Like I said, my Discord is in my link tree. I mean, I really like the simplicity. I don't mind that. I like doing everything by myself in that matter. I don't really want this to be sparkly and, you know, I'm a bald man, almost a boomer, so it might be just like that. Okay. I wonder if there are some settings I should change. Metal requires the following to function: Kubernetes cluster. Oh, here you go. Okay, so let's just try installing the MetalLB. Let's just try going with it. And if it breaks everything, then, well, we'll see. I wonder if it'll work, let's say, without any problems, if I have some default rancher deployed ingress stuff. That is the question. Please refer to official docs on how to use CRs. Okay, so we have it installed. Nice. So now I have to read up on something called CRs. Okay, concepts, installation, and guides. Address allocation. Okay, I think the MetalLB is something I have been basically dying to learn ever since my journey with Kubernetes started. Because this is something that I feel like should be by default included. Okay, installation is pretty much done because I've been using the pre-configured Helm chart. So yeah, by manifest, yeah. So we've done that. This will deploy under the namespace. That's a good question. Projects and namespaces, all namespaces. System default Cynet project, not in a project. Oh shit! That's actually oh, okay. So you can move that under a project, though. You know the projects from what I remember are mostly that I would actually. And the projects are something that's not necessarily something that Kubernetes is highly dependent on. Like those are already separate namespaces, and projects are like an additional layer of abstraction to help you organize stuff. My friend, please check Discord. I have sent you requests there. Would love your acceptance. Then shares regarding my jobs. Sure, thank you. When I have the time, when I'm done with this, then definitely I'll check this out. Thanks. Not in a okay, so we have this. I might move that to actually a dedicated projects, but you know, actually this works now. Okay. So this seems to be in order. Install with Helm. Yeah, we've done installation with Helm. Cool. Values. Speaker. Okay. Operator, daemons logging levels. When upgrading, always check the release notes. Okay. Setting the load balancer class. Supports load balancer class, which allows multiple load balancer implementation to coexist. In order to do that, I don't really need to install many load balancers. I think the MetalLB will do. Okay. Usage. Do you play games or do some game streaming? Very little. I do play some games and I sometimes try to stream. Though it's difficult finding you know, with the amount of streaming I'm doing. Have you ever made app or site ever? How long it takes to develop a static site of 5 pages? A static site of 5 pages is quite quick. If you are using some static web page generator like Hugo or whatever, then it's quite quick. I am all for the statically generated pages. Currently, I have a large backlog of games to play, and you know, even with that backlog, being my favorite Persona 3 that came out recently, I'm like halfway through that game. I've been playing Frostpunk and clearing the achievements. There is such a big backlog, and I still need to edit and do a lot of YouTube stuff and actual work stuff. I mean, truth to be told, I've made maybe not quite a lot, but I've done my part of creating apps and sites. I mean, not really professionally. I mean, part professionally, but I've always done everything by myself. And you know, the static site generators, just wonder. Okay, so how can I actually configure? Do I have to do everything via the YAML? Or maybe something has already started working. Maybe it already auto-magically started working. I think it was in the service discovery services. Okay, it's still pending. It's still waiting for the load balancer class. Okay, but where do I configure the IP pools that I am allowing the MetalLB to assign or use? Or is this not a way I should be thinking about that? I think the one app I am the most proud of, but it's no longer available, is the one that I've made for World of Warcraft auction house data scrapping. Because I had big ambitions, I would say reasonably big resources available back then, and I've basically made an auction house scrapper that pulled the auction house data from every realm in EU and US and calculated some statistics for every item, and then I had that hooked up under a Grafana, and you could basically have your own dashboards to maximize your auction house profits. But that was back when I was still a gold hoarder goblin. Sadly, not many people were interested in the project. And it did require... by the way, thanks for follow, Catherine. It did require quite a lot of resources on the server side. I think I've had like 128 gigabytes of memory server like dedicated to that. And it basically was running out of RAM because I was using InfluxDB. When I tried to switch to TimescaleDB, then it basically was running out of storage. Jesus Christ, so many people want something from me today. That's great. Actually, I'm a professional skilled graphic designer for 8 years, working with main developers and web app designers. Also, I do streams. I do for streamers to maintain their screens, look professionally familiar with their work. Hope you appreciate my skills by seeing my work on Discord. Like I said, I've kind of figured out what you're on about, and I will check it out. Don't worry about that. Okay, let's dial up the difficulty and just Google. No, I don't want to play Go. Googling for Google, Jesus, such a boomer. Even though I am a millennial, I think technically. Anyway, Rancher, RKA2, MetalLB. Please give me a tutorial for dummies. We are definitely lowering the bar here. Okay, Metal, I won't go into detail how it works. Thank you for not doing that. I will copy some of the example configs here, go ahead and deploy. The following configs should be deployed to your K8s environment. Do I have like addresses here? Okay, you have to remove and reinstall the ingress controller after you install MetalLB and set it to service of type load balancer. That explains quite a lot. It does explain quite a lot. You're probably not hearing this. Am I right? Okay. Quick. Audio, add application audio capture, and we can watch it together. Okay, sorry for clicking around.
Received. I'm grateful to all of you who watch, comment, and who've subscribed to the channel, and I hope that you continue to tell me what you'd like to learn so that I can make content that helps you. Now, one of my most popular recent videos is about MetalLB. In that video, which is up here in a card and which I'll link to at the end, I used Traffic as the ingress controller. I set it up behind MetalLB and I had it request a service of type load balancer. MetalLB was like, sure dude, and we were all set. Two people asked if the same thing would work with the Nginx ingress controller and specifically with Rancher. The short answer, yes.
You know what? Let me do one little thing, because I have my weird YouTube stuff here.
Hey everyone, happy. So let's roll that intro and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, the first thing that you need to do is disable the default Nginx ingress controller that Rancher installs for you. This is deployed as a daemon set with host network set to true, and that means that it will run on every host in your cluster and it will listen on ports 80 and 443. When you deploy the cluster, or if you edit an already...
Oh yeah, by the way, this is 4 years ago, so this definitely has a different Rancher UI than what I have now. But I think we'll manage. I think that, you know, the process itself is identical.
deployed cluster, you'll find a setting under Advanced Options to disable the ingress controller. Set that, and then launch the new cluster, or save the existing one. In my case, I'm launching a new cluster, so we have to wait a while it spins up. But
okay. Rancher. I don't think that this is here anymore. But we can at least try and check. Oh, Nginx ingress. Cool. Yeah, so it actually is here. This might take care. Oh, can you repeat the answer to my last message? I went to the kitchen and was gonna cook something. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've kind of figured out what your angle is here, but like I said, I will check out what you've sent me on Discord after I'm done here. Don't worry about that. There's quite a lot of updating that needs to be done, it seems, after removing the Nginx. So now when we go to service discovery, we have ingress. By the way, I can delete that because I know I've done that by hand. And we have some services, and now if we go to the networking, there doesn't seem to be anything. Okay.
But don't worry, I'll speed it up. But first I want to tell you about something new that I'm doing for you. First of all, let me just get a progress bar up here so that I don't take too long talking. The first thing is that I'm going to start producing content in 4K. For some of you, that probably doesn't matter, but for others, I hope you just cheered and clapped your hands. If you don't have a 4K TV or monitor, YouTube will downscale it to 1080p or 720p or whatever it is that you're watching, but the general consensus among the creator community is that the quality of 1080p is better when YouTube downscales it than if I upload in 1080p and...
Thanks a lot. Sure. Was lovely talking to you too. Thanks. Thanks for being here today.
let them stream it. I'm not sure why that is, but I want you to have the best quality videos that I can give you. Now, if you do watch in 4K, then you'll get the crispiest, crunchiest video right out of the gate. Next, I have a present for those of you who like to follow along with my videos. I know that these are tutorials, and they're often sped up because no one really wants to watch 10 minutes of text scrolling by on the screen. Many of you asked me to send you the resources that I use in the videos, things like configuration files, Kubernetes manifests, and so on. So for all of you, I've created a public Git repository that will have all of the content sorted by video. For example, in the folder for this video, you'll find everything that you...
Why is this not public? I mean, maybe, you know, that has basically become obsolete to the point where that guy wanted to private that, or maybe he just changed the direction of his channel.
MetalLB, the Nginx ingress controller, and the demo application.
So weird.
So that link is here, and I'll also put it in the video description. I'll go back through the archives and add content for previous videos, but if you don't see something in the repo, just open an issue and let me know. I have some other things planned, but I find that talking about plans drains energy from actually doing the thing. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and watch my future videos so that you don't miss out on the announcements. Okay, this looks like it's about to wrap up the install, so let's get back to it. I'll grab the kubecontrol config file for the new cluster, save it, and set the kubeconfig variable to point at it. Whenever
Jesus, come again?
looks like it's about to wrap up the install, so let's get back to it. I'll grab the kubecontrol config file for the new cluster, save it, and set the kubeconfig variable to point at it. Whenever I do this, I like to run kubectl get nodes to make sure that I'm pointed at the right cluster. I knew a Buddhist monk who once told me that we make a rule because we learn a lesson. You can probably imagine the lesson that I learned by firing off kubecontrol commands at the wrong cluster. I'm not going to tell you that story.
That was a long intro. But still, if I am watching this, I am respectful enough not to skip this.
The next step is to install MetalLB. The rise in popularity for this project has been really good to them, and they've updated their documentation to point out a few things. First, this is a beta level project. It will probably work, but it hasn't been fully vetted to determine just how well it will work under load. For the type of load that I'm going to put on it, I trust it, but make sure that you run load tests against it before you put any sort of real load on it for your environment. They also fixed the config map naming issue that I raised in the last video. Thanks, guys. They also added instructions for Kustomize, and I really appreciate that. If you've never used Kustomize, it lets you template Kubernetes manifests with automatic patching for different environments and a whole mess of configuration management coolness. The problem, though, is that if you've never used Kustomize, the way that they have the instructions written makes them into something that you can't just copy and paste. Now, that's not their fault. Kustomize is unique to every environment, and as you'll see in a moment, even the customized templates for the Nginx ingress controller need local modification. So this is actually what led me to create the Git repo for the channel. I've taken the templates from both projects, and I created customized templates that you can copy and paste. And that's what we need for a video that's showing you how to do something, right? The MetalLB config map isn't sophisticated enough to need a config map generator, so we'll take their sample, create the local config map, and then we'll just use that. Both MetalLB and Nginx are declaring a remote resource. That's a remote Git location that contains another customized file that will be imported and executed. This only works if you use kustomize build and then pipe that to kubecontrol. It does not work with kubecontrol-k. So after we run that, MetalLB is up and running. You can see in my local config map that I'm using the layer 2 format, and I've given it a small block of addresses on my local network. If you didn't update this before running the install, that's okay. Just change it now and run the install command again. MetalLB will update and it'll start using the new addresses.
Okay. I mean, I am so green to this. For me, this is so counterintuitive. Oh, now? Okay. Yeah, namespace, not project. Okay.
And that's the power of Kustomize. Now let's head over to the Nginx directory. We'll use customize again, but I've added some changes to the default Nginx customization file. They have install files for all sorts.
Okay, so you're basically doing this with customized, not Helm chart, not using the rancher at all, basically. You mean, I understand that, almost everything can be done using kubeadmin and kubectl. What I am trying to find out is, if I have a tool like rancher, I would like to do most of things via that tool. Okay, 11 months ago, year ago, 3 months ago, but that's like upgrade guide. Though I have this channel. I know this channel though, okay. You know what?
Hi,
Let's
I'm
try
Chris
this one
Muchler,
too.
VCDX 250 itself from a vCenter view. As we go here, you click up pointing it to a cluster in the resource pool, or if you want the virtual machines to go to a specific ESXi host, you can do that as well. Again, check worker. We need to make sure that it's specified for etcd and the control plane. And then that's it. There's our cluster. Those are the virtual moment, and watch it do this. You can also see here in the events that there's actually still some of the setup going on my rancher virtual machine. So it looks like a couple things. We actually powered it on. Some unique number of third-party applications. Okay, in addition to having things like Datadog, all right, cluster on the list here. And sure, about a week ago, I was most impressed by. And then you can go through here, you can see what the repository, obviously it's a branch there. You can always GCE final steps of waiting for Kubernetes to register itself with this new worker. From there, able to streamline.
Okay.
After you set up a new...
let me just check one more thing. Service discovery. Yeah.
Kubernetes cluster and deploy your first application and to the pod IP or load balanced across all healthy pod IPs if you have you open on your nodes. Not to mention is the MetalLB load balancer. Once installed in your cluster, you create an IP address pool, which is a range of IP addresses to be allocated as external IPs to all services of type load balancer. The second MetalLB component is a speaker daemon set, which runs on each node in the cluster. Each speaker agent uses something called gratuitous app to configure the node's network interface to respond to app requests for the assigned IP addresses. For example, if you have 5 pods running on a particular node and you have set up a service type of load balancer for each of these pods, each service will be assigned an external IP address from the IP address pool. The MetalLB speaker will then advertise using gratuitous app to any machines on the network that each of these 5 IP addresses is mapped to the MAC address of the node's network interface. So any machine sending traffic to any of these external IPs will send it to the node's network interface, and it will be forwarded to the appropriate services within the Kubernetes cluster using NAT. Let us see how this works in practice by deploying the MetalLB load balancer to a Kubernetes cluster. Now, if you go over to the MetalLB installation documentation, it lists several ways in which you can install MetalLB in your cluster. You can use Helm or Customize. There's also a MetalLB operator, or you can choose to use Manifest. I'm going to use Manifest to install, but you can as well choose any method that is quicker for you.
Sorry, my Slack just pinged. And it's actually a question about the Kubernetes and Kubernetes Network Lab.
As a prerequisite, the documentation says you need to edit the kubeproxy config map in the kube system namespace in order to enable strict app. Then all we have to do at this point to install MetalLB is execute the kubectl apply command with the URL path to the manifest. This will go ahead and create the MetalLB system namespace, custom resource definitions, service accounts, roles, cluster roles.
Oh yes, CRs or maybe CRDs. Those menus are terrible.
and bindings, secrets, and finally the MetalLB controller deployment and speaker daemon set. You can run a kubectl get pods in the MetalLB system namespace to verify that everything installed correctly. You can also run a kubectl API resources and grep MetalLB to display all the custom resources.
Okay, maybe let me try doing that. Okay.
Installed along with MetalLB. To complete the configuration, you need to create an IP address pool and an L2 advertisement. So you can define an object of kind IP address pool and specify your range of external IPs. You can create this new IP address pool using the kubectl apply command in the MetalLB system namespace. You can also verify that the pool has been created with the...
Okay, so it seems I have to apply all of that in like this way. Okay. Okay. Let me just verify my available address space. Just reserve that in my IPAM. Okay. Actually,
The kubectl get IP address pool command.
oh my, it seems. Okay, it actually did work. So, is the thing I applied, I mean, visible anywhere here? Okay, so it's here. And now the project namespace is pods. Let me just maybe make it so I only see this stuff. I'm under the impression that, oh yeah, load balancer. Yep. Perfect. Is this the node I can SSH to? I don't think it was the client, it was the... it was this. Let me just close all that. Timed out. Do I even have access? Maybe not from this machine. Okay. Okay, so I think that the IP address is being assigned properly. It's just that the MetalLB might not know on what actual interface. Yep. I mean, I already have so many like basic network engineering questions that, you know, nobody seems to answer. Like I think like I am on crazy pills. Like nobody seems to think in like traditional networking categories when either explaining those things or writing those documentations. Like, okay, the MetalLB assigns like like IP pool. How does it know which server interface to bridge onto? What VLAN to tag?
Similarly, we define another object of kind L2 advertisement and specify the IP address pool advertise. We can create the L2 advertisement with kubectl apply and verify with kubectl get L2 advertisement. Now that we have a load balancer installed in the cluster, we can test.
Okay, so I may so so the next 5 seconds may have answered this for me.
Test it out by creating a test deployment with a service of type load balancer. I have an example deployment manifest here defining a web app deployment and a web app service.
And now it works. Jesus. I don't remember what was the default password for the Nokia SR Linux. I think they mentioned this here. Oh yeah, I remember now. Nokia SRL1 exclamation mark. And it works and we have access.
Of type load balancer. If I apply that with kubectl apply and do a kubectl get services, I can see that my service has been created successfully. I also see the service type of load balancer and the external IP address assigned by MetalLB. I can also verify that I can reach the web app with a call command, and as you can see, every memorize several IP addresses and would prefer using friendly domain names to access your application. You also want to reduce the risk of running out of IP addresses, especially if you have limits in the number of IP addresses you can allocate in your network. To achieve this kind of setup, you will need to install an ingress controller in your cluster. An ingress controller is essentially a reverse proxy, which is a server that sits between client devices.
Okay, I will leave a like. And I will save this for later. Because, bless your soul, man, you've actually helped me reach the minimal viable goal I had for myself today. And I think I've actually grasped this at least a tiny bit more than I like got this before the stream. My nose is itching. But yeah, I mean, now it works. And I think that I've done what I wanted for today. Oh, I think I've done what I wanted. And we are like at the 3-hour mark, so this was a bit chaotic, especially with KTS and with the work stuff I had thrown out at me during this whole, let's say, adventure. But at least I've kind of gotten a tiny bit more of that knowledge about how that networking works in the Kubernetes. Even though I still don't really get how adding that L2 advertisement helped. Like, does it by default bind to the cluster management interface? Like, how does that work? Why I don't have to specify a physical interface on the server for that to make it work? What if that subnet is available on a different Ethernet port on, let's say, tagged VLAN? Or just for simplicity's sake, on completely different Ethernet port? Why does it work? Like, I assume that it works for now because that IP address space is the same as the nodes are in. Which is, I would say, not really a good idea, but just for testing purposes, I mean, it's so weird. It's so weird. I'll have to do more reading on that later. Okay, 3 hours. That was quite a long time. And quite a lot of stuff I've done today. So, hey, thank you for joining today. And I hope I'll see you next time. Catch you on the next one.